Welcome to the Peace and Happiness Challenge. This used to be a workshop that we started in 2016. It dramatically changed many people's lives, and so we thought to bring it in a recording form along with the workbook to allow as many people as possible to have access. This really is a game changer, and it does dramatically change your paradigm. So follow us, do it at your own pace. And we're going to start with module 1, which we go into listening. And when it comes to listening, a lot of the times when I would do this workshop, I'd have a whiteboard and I would say, how do we listen? And I would just have you participate. So I'm asking you right now, how do you listen? And a lot of people would sometimes be confused by the question. And so I'd say, like, do you listen defensively? Do you listen offensively? And then people would be like, oh, yeah, I listen defensively, or I listen to understand would be another thing that I would hear. Okay, great. Some people listen to see if they agree or disagree. Others would say that they listen to see if it was right or wrong. Some people listen to see if they were interested or if they were going to check out or if they were going to lock in and tune into what the person was saying to them. Some people listen to be relatable. They wanted to listen to respond or to be relatable and respond with a similar story. They really wanted the other person to see that they got them. Some people would listen to play devil's advocate because they like to defy. Some people listened with the intent of, what does this mean about me, or what does this mean to me? And so once I had the board full of all the reasons on how we listen, I would ask the people, if you look at all of this list here, and we're listening to see if we agree or disagree, to relate, to respond, to defend, to connect, to find something relatable, I would ask, are we listening? And you would always see all the heads kind of like nod or shake, or their eyes just kind of like you would see the wheels spinning. Because in that moment, what we can realize that if we have all these reasons or all these premises of how we're listening, then we're not actually listening. And so then the question is, well, then what is listening? And what you want to see about this is that we want to be free of an agenda. We want to be free of having a lens or a filter. It doesn't mean that we're not going to have judgment and we're not going to process what we just listened to, but it means that out of the gate, by default, we're not putting it through our filters. We're not putting it through our narratives, our storylines. We're allowing ourselves to listen just to allow things to land. And if we have like this intense reaction, or what some people would say triggered, or resistance to what we're listening to, then that usually would be an indicator that something that God said poked at an emotional charge that lives within us. And so from that space, we're probably already making it fit from a personal experience or a narrative that we have. And so it's very good to not absorb, but observe. And so when listening, you want to be able to observe what was said. You want to be able to strip yourself away from making it fit some past experience. And so that's what it is to listen. You just allow things to land. And when you do this in the Peace and Happiness Challenge, you're just going to allow for the next 4 modules for yourself to know that you're safe and secure. You can allow something to land. If it doesn't bear truth, it won't give you fruit. So it's just going to roll off your back. If it does have truth, if it is here to bring you into an awakening of something, a liberation, a freedom, a wisdom, then it will stay. And in the next days to follow, next hours, next week, you will be able to come back to whatever it is that you heard, and it will connect a dot for you. It will make sense. It will have something resonate. It will gift you something. And again, if it's not true or it doesn't bear any type of effect is just going to roll off your back. Those are the two choices. And then there's the one in the middle, like I said, where you want to fight, you want to resist, you have an argument. And we tend to do this a lot with each other. We tend to like argue. We tend to think that we need to prove or we need to discuss or we need to counter what is being said. And actually, if we just allow ourselves to listen and process, we would start to develop a lot of bridge between one head, one way of thinking, one mind to another. We would start to create a bridge between heart to heart. We would start to see a lot of connection because now we're not being defensive or we're not coming from our emotional. So if you see that happen during these modules, I just ask you to make a note. This bothered me because of this. I don't agree with this because of this. And then just put it to the side. Don't let that become a distraction. And so one of the things that I like to share about listening is I remember there was this one time where one of my children was like the all-star, right? Like they were possibly the first Latino president of the United States. And by the time we got to high school, something shifted dramatically. And I remember asking the question, like, what happened? Like, did I look away and something happened? Like, why are you struggling? Like, what's going on? And all of a sudden, my child started crying at a point where they're sobbing. And I can't even make out the words. And I'm really intently trying to listen. And all of a sudden, I realized that my child has went through extreme bullying. And as a mother, as a parent, as a father, as a loved one, as a guardian, you can understand that that would bring a lot of emotions. And so I would often ask in the workshop, what do you think was my reaction? What do you think I wanted to do as I'm hearing this child tell me these different details of what they lived and experienced that I had no clue in their 5th and 6th grade years. And now this child is in 10th grade, struggling because of the root of some of these things. And the room starts answering. You want to tell them that they're better than that these people are just jealous. You want to go to the school and demand that they should have done better. You want to tell them and hold them and tell them that you're going to get them therapy or get them help, right? So everyone starts sounding off these different ways of how they would probably react as a parent. And I said, I wanted to do all of that, right? Sometimes we might act defensively. Why didn't you tell me back then? You know, you could even get a little bit of a set or a tone of disbelief, like, why didn't you come to me, right? And I said, I could have reacted all of those ways, but in that moment, I decided not to say anything. I didn't try to take them away from the discomfort and the pain. I didn't try to ease and soothe. I didn't try to, you know, be defensive. I just listened. And I always share how that really set the precedent for my relationships in the years to come. Because in that moment, I saw my child. I didn't go through the filters of where was I, what kind of mother, isn't aware of this. I wasn't in the judgment. I wasn't in the judgment of others. Ooh, who raised those kind of kids? I wasn't in any of that. It wasn't about me. It was about really listening. And so if you take anything from this challenge, is what would your life look like if you actually started to listen? I call it PALS. We have a pre-agenda listening syndrome. What would it look like if we drop our PALS and we actually heard one another? We'd start to more than understand superficially, we'd start to comprehend. We'd allow depth to come forward. And so when it comes to listening, it's not always the easiest because we have usually a lot of emotional reactions. And so if you're going to listen, you're going to want to remove yourself from having that be your default, like a knee-jerk reaction that everything you're listening, you already have an emotion or a feeling about. Like to be able to start creating space and to be able to observe instead of absorb and run with something, that's going to be dramatically life-changing. And it is hard to listen because if we think about our brain, if you look into, you could look it up on Google, but our brain can take in about 400 words per minute. But even if you're an auctioneer, they probably could say more, but on average, we can only spit out 125 words per minute. So I can spit out, I can speak, I can express about 125 words per minute, but I can only really, and I can take as much as 400 words per minute. That's a 75% deficit. So in that 75% deficit is where I'm going through am I interested? Do I care about this? Wait a minute, what are they trying to say about me? What does this mean to me? What is she trying to say right here? Wait a minute, I don't agree with this. I don't think this is true, right? So you have a lot of space to be with your pals, all these deep pre-agendas. And so if you start to remove yourself from doing that, you're gonna see your life dramatically change because here's another thing. How we listen to others is how we listen to ourselves. Just think about that. How we listen to others is how we listen to ourselves. So you're usually already on your amygdala, your saber tooth, archaic part of your brain, where you're already in your fears. You're already trying to control things. You don't even check in with your mind, your body, your spirit, your soul to see where you want to move with this or how you want to move with this. Your subconscious hijacks you because it's already deciding what feeling, it's already in fear, it's already in protection. However, when you start to realize that you're not listening to yourself, that you're running from some blueprint that you created at an age that you had no business creating your thought or perspectives about life. But that's what we do. We don't listen to ourselves, and then we just run off of programmings from our fears that we had when we were younger, when we were kids. And so in this module, what I really want you to take on is how do you start removing the grip of fear, of image and perception and identity, and actually give yourself a little bit of space to like, okay, why am I feeling this way? Why am I thinking this way? What is this really about? And so again, how we listen to others is how we listen to ourselves. So one of the reasons that we're so reactionary to life, to each other, to ourselves, is because we're not taking the time to listen. So for this module, drop those pre-agenda listening syndrome, let go of the pals, learn to take breaths. I'll finish with this. Some books have studied people like the Rockefellers and Ford and just all these different men that created huge successes, regardless that they would put their hands together, and there's a lot of controversy regarding the hands, right? But that they would breathe and connect. And that's exactly what will allow you to shrink the archaic part of your brain that runs off already reacting, to take a couple of breaths. And so when you breathe and you shrink the amygdala, you're shutting down, you're choke holding all these pals, these pre-agenda, and you're actually stimulating the prefrontal cortex of your brain. And it is only then when you learn to practice this to a point that you master it, that you will actually start being a conscious being. You will start speaking and thinking and deciding and moving from your consciousness. That's when you'll actually be able to listen. This is one of the reasons why most of us don't understand why we did the action or why we said the thing or why we did the thing. If you knew better, I knew better. Why did I do that? Because we don't listen. We don't check in. We're already on our pre-agenda. So with this module, when it comes to listening, learn to step back, be aware. It's going to take practice. You're not a light switch, but you're really practicing what it is to listen without your pals will be a game changer for you, for your loved one, your career, your relationships, your life.